Okay, so this is a video for the GCSE course for the First World War part of the course. In this video I will be talking about the Battle of Passchendaele, the 22nd of July to 6th of November 1917, that's the Battle of Passchendaele. I've already talked about the Battle of the Somme in a previous video. I've put the link in the description below for that video in case you want to watch that and compare the two battles. Obviously they're both quite important battles in the First World War that you need to know about. So the link to that video is in the description below. But in today's video, as I say, I'm going to talk about the Battle of Passchendaele. The Battle of Passchendaele is also sometimes referred to as, or called, the Third Battle of Ypres. Okay, so if you ever see the Third Battle of Ypres written down, it's referring to the Battle of Passchendaele, or what's commonly known as the Battle of Passchendaele. So what was the Battle of Passchendaele? Well, it was one of the largest battles in the First World War. It was a joint British and Canadian offensive, so there were British soldiers and Canadian soldiers involved, and it was led, once again, by General Haig, General Douglas Haig, okay, who you all know about, again, from the Battle of the Somme, and as I say, link in the description for the Battle of the Somme video. So General Haig, once again, is leading this battle, is in charge of this battle, he's the one who's planned it. And the plan is that the Allies, the British and the Canadians and the French, are going to break through the German lines at Ypres, the place where the battle took place, and they're going to fight towards the Belgian coast and make it to the Belgian coast, where they are hopefully going to take over or gain two Belgian ports, okay, that they can then use against the Germans, to maybe stop the Germans using U-boats, which, as we know, they were using quite effectively in the war at sea. So if Britain can get to the Belgian coast, if they can break through at Ypres and get all the way to the coast, they can take these two ports and again battle against the German U-boats and try and limit the damage that they can do. Okay, so that was the aim. That's the long-term aim of the battle. Okay, we'll do the battle, break through it, Ypres, get to the coast. Bob's your uncle. Okay, now much like most of the other battles in the First World War, didn't quite go according to plan. Now the battle itself started with a 10 days long bombardment of the German trenches. Okay, much like the Battle of the Somme. The Battle of the Somme, as we know, had a 7-day and night bombardment, artillery bombardment of the German trenches. The Battle of Passchendaele was even longer, a 10 days long bombardment of the German trenches. They used 4 million shells in this artillery bombardment, to give you an idea of the scale and the size of this bombardment and how severe it was. But again, much like the Battle of the Somme, this bombardment was not very effective in destroying the German trenches. Once again, the German trenches were very well built and strong and withstood most of the bombardment. There wasn't much damage done. And what's more, another impact or effect of this bombardment, a negative effect, was it essentially turned the battlefield into a quagmire. Okay, there'd already been a lot of rain that summer, and the ground was already quite muddy, and the artillery just churned up the battlefield, made it even more muddy, to the extent where the battlefield basically became a sea of mud. Really, that's what it's been described as by many of the soldiers who were there and the eyewitnesses, a sea of mud, just mud from everywhere the eye could see, just a sea of mud. And naturally this affected how the soldiers would battle in these conditions. Okay, rifles would get clogged up with mud. Tanks were useless. The tanks would get stuck, so there was no point using them. Even more severely, men and horses. There are records of men and horses drowning in mud. Okay, the mud is so severe and so deep and so thick that the men and the horses, in quite a few instances, drown in the mud. Horrific to think about, really. I mean, as we know, the First World War is already pretty horrific, and there's another horrific image for us. Men and horses literally drowning in mud. Okay, horrific stuff. So the battle, as we know, went from 22nd of July through to the 6th of November, and over the course of this battle, again, there's not much movement through the German lines from the Allies. Eventually, the village of Passchendaele is captured, well, the ruins of the village of Passchendaele, the village is captured by the Allies, the British and the Canadians. They capture the village of Passchendaele. As I say, it was a ruin by the time they got there. But the village of Passchendaele had been behind German lines, so straight away Haig was able to say, oh, it's a victory, you know, Passchendaele once belonged to the Germans, now it belongs to us, it's a victory. Well, again, much like the Battle of the Somme, some people say great victory, some people say not so much. Okay, so Haig, as I say, claimed victory, we've taken the village of Passchendaele, and what's more, linking back to the idea of a war of attrition, or Haig's war of attrition, his policy of a war of attrition, many German soldiers have been killed in this battle. Now, there are disputed figures as to how many casualties there were on both sides. For the British, the figures range from around 240,000 to about 300,000, the British and the Allies. So, again, quite serious losses, you know, 250,000 men. Similar for the Germans, between about 220 to 260,000. Again, there are differing interpretations or disputed numbers. But again, all these German soldiers are lost, and Haig says, well, you know, a great victory for the war of attrition. We've taken away nearly 250,000 men from the Germans, and that to us is a victory. The Allies had also gained an amount of land, 800 metres. Okay, so really not very far. You know, you run 800 metres in games and on sports day. 800 metres, well, it might feel like that when you're running it. It's not that far. Okay, it's really not that far considering how many men were lost in this battle. So Haig does cling on to victory. He says, you know, taken Passchendaele, killed lots of Germans, moved 800 metres forward. So to that extent, yeah, it was a victory. But again, there was huge criticism of his tactics. Much like there was at the Battle of the Somme. Here he is again, once again, almost earning the title of butcher that people had called him after the Battle of the Somme. You know, a very uncaring general, just kind of throwing his men at this battle and not really caring too much about the deaths